It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Jamie is a leading Tampa Bay real estate agent and featured on the Wall Street Journal's list of top 100 real estate agents in the nation. Jamie invites you to list your home with him today and learn more at tampabayradio.com. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome. Good morning, everyone. This is That Business Show, where business becomes show business. And you're probably used to hearing Jamie Maloney's voice every single morning, but this morning you're going to get to hear me. My name is Dr. Ron Eccles, and I'm so excited because I was asked to come in and sit in for Jamie. He is sunshining on some beach in Puerto Rico right now, enjoying himself with some beautiful Latin women. And I've got a special show for you this morning. I'm so pumped up because one of my favorite individuals in this country are the veterans that have served our country so long and so hard. And we have a very special veteran here of the United States Navy. His name is Dr. Eric Hollis. Dr. Hollis, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I want to welcome you to That Business Show this morning. And our audience knows absolutely nothing about you. And they, if they're live stream, they can actually see you. However, if they're not, if they're in their cars and they're driving right now, they can't see what an incredibly well-dressed gentleman and professional you are. I want to welcome you to a very early morning. Thank you for being here. And let's hear a little bit about your background.
Again, thank you. Originally, I am from a small town about 110 miles southeast of Houston named Silsbee, Texas. It's about 6,700 people, small blue-collar town. I come from a family of 10 brothers and sisters, 17 nieces and nephews, and 16 grandnieces and nephews. As you are aware of, from Silsbee or from Texas, Texas is known for its football. So like all the other young high schoolers, I played football in high school. Unfortunately, or shall I say fortunately, I recall playing football, one of the football games, picked up a fumble. The next thing I know, my left leg, both bones were broken.
Oh, boy.
So suffice it to say, that went my football career. The question was, what was I going to do? So I decided to go to college. I went to McNeese State University in Lake Charles, Louisiana for approximately 6 weeks. Got homesick and decided to go back to my small town in Silsbee. Still wasn't satisfied, so I decided I was going to join the Navy. And my family, the Hollis family, we've had someone serve in the military since World War I.
Wow. Wow. What a tremendous history and legacy there. A lot for your kids to live up to someday.
Yes, yes. So then I joined the Navy, and that's where my life began. I was stationed in San Diego, did some time in San Diego, a ship there in San Diego, USS Tawa. This was during the first Persian Gulf War. So I got a chance to be a part of that historic event, sailing from San Diego all the way to the Persian Gulf. Now, mind you, this was during the time when there was no email. So it was quite challenging to have to write letters back and forth.
Wait a minute. There was a time when people actually didn't have email.
I kind of miss those days, to be honest.
I'm definitely old enough to remember that. I remember pre-cell phone days.
Yeah.
And my kids were like, what?
So I would tell people, the younger generation that during that time, when you were writing letters, you better hope that you got letter number 5 before you got letter number 7. So that was quite a challenge back in those days. The reason I joined the military, as I said before, I wanted to do something different. Mm-hmm. I love my town, I love my small town, but then again, it was a small town, and I had visions of seeing the world. And the military gave me a chance to visit more than 49 different countries.
I was going to say now, I got to interrupt you for just a moment, because one of the things that's really interesting is that you're saying you're from Texas, and I'm going, where's that big Texas drawl that I'm used to hearing? Because I did a lot of postgraduate training in Texas, spent a lot of time teaching postgraduate work there, and everybody's got a nice big Texas accent. You seem to be curtailed a little bit. My guess is because you've done quite a bit of traveling.
Quite a bit of traveling.
I know 6 weeks in Louisiana could not have done that.
You are correct. Yes.
Or any time in the military, right? I mean, I know guys that gone into the military and came out with the same accent they had when they went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. But I guess doing 30 years, and I would normally go back home to Texas maybe once or twice a year throughout my 30 years. So I guess that's why. But with that said, my heart is still in Texas. I'm still originally from Texas, even though I'm here in Florida. Transplant. I'm a Texan by heart.
That's where my mom's living right now. I'm actually going to be visiting there here soon, in about a month.
What part?
She's just north of Dallas. I forget the name of the town, but it's a small little town.
Yeah, now
So
for those people,
I'm kind of excited.
for those listening right now, if you've never been to Texas, driving across Texas is like going across parts of the Europe. It's just an enormous state. And one of the things I got to say about Texas, I'm a Jersey boy. I was born and raised in Jersey, and I was always taught that the people in Texas are loudmouths and braggarts and stuff. And I discovered actually opposite of that. They made me feel so proud to be an American. When I started traveling to Texas, I became a heart of a Texan. I just love Texas and Texan people because they just love America so much.
They're on that way until the Cowboys are playing. Then a couple of weeks.
Well, then
Yeah,
You'll
just
see a
don't bring
difference.
any of that rivalry between Philly and Dallas into that, and you'll probably be
you're,
all
you're,
right,
you're,
right?
you're pretty safe here because I don't really.
Well,
I
thank
cheer
you.
on anybody who's playing because they're all bigger, faster, and better than I am.
Well, thank you.
Likewise. So basically, back to coming up from Texas and stuff. So how long did it take you to transition from that that Texas attitude, Texas way of living, to get into the military and change that completely?
Well, I think that being from Texas, being in the military, you're surrounded by a diverse group of people. I mean, you get a chance.
It's a complete change, right?
It's a complete paradigm shift being in the military because, once you finish boot camp and you're surrounded by other people from other places, with states or other international places, you learn to adapt and overcome. And it really teaches you to have tolerance to other cultures, other people. So the military was a great game changer for me, particularly the Navy.
I feel like it could have been easier for you to transition because coming up in Texas, you come up preparing basically for the military, right? I mean, there's a lot of hunting, gamesman type stuff.
There's a lot of
Plus,
hunting.
Your football career, so you're not afraid of physical contact.
Football
things
career,
like that.
the team sport concept, so that's very big in Texas. If you don't, 9 times out of 10, if you don't play football in high school in Texas, you guys probably seen Friday Night Lights.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
Great
problem.
movie.
Why didn't you play football? So that happens a lot.
So, Doc, how old were you when you entered into the Navy?
I was 18 when I joined the Navy.
Okay, so
18 years old.
Wow. So you were right out of high school.
Right out of high school.
Great. And how long were you in the military for?
I did 30 years. From 1984
Career military
to
right there.
2014. 30
Well,
years.
If you're not on live stream, it is going to be very difficult for you to even imagine this guy have put 30 years in the military. You look too young
I was going to say
to
the
have
same.
been there
Well,
30
thank
years.
you. Yes, I did 30 years. Like I said earlier, more than 49 different countries. And I would say the most interesting country that I visited was Cape Town, South Africa.
Now, why is that? That's interesting because I got a good buddy
'Cause
from South Africa. And
Well, the reason why, back in 1996, during the time that was the Kosovo and Serbian conflict, I was stationed in Naples, Italy. And during that time, I used to work for a special branch of the military. I was the personal communicator or IT support for 2 4-star Navy admirals and 3 4-star generals. And with that said, during that time, it was a lot of visits to different NATO countries. This particular trip, I was going to Cape Town, South Africa after the apartheid. It was their 175th Navy anniversary. So I flew from Naples, Italy to Rome, but before I left Naples, I decided to purchase a camcorder. During this time, it was the huge camcorders, the 60X camcorders. So I purchased the camcorder, and I flew from Naples to Rome, from Rome nonstop to Johannesburg. Had a 2-hour layover in Johannesburg. At the time, I say, well, I have 2 hours to kill. Let me see if I can work this camera. So I put the battery in, and I started just taking photos, zooming in. I saw this lady standing by a column drinking coffee. So I zoomed in on her, and she saw me, and she immediately said, "How dare you, sir, photograph me?" So we started talking back and forth. I told her I was going to Cape Town for business, told her I was staying at the Cape Sun Hotel. She was going to Cape Town vacation. I said, let's do lunch. We did lunch, and 5 years later, we were married, and we're still married.
I didn't see that one coming. I'm like, all right, he's in South Africa, being African American. I'm sitting there going, this story is not going to end up well, but yet actually it's the love of your life.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And my wife is from she's Indian from Singapore, so we met there, got married 5 years later. So that's why Cape Town was one of the best countries I visited.
I almost thought that he was going to talk about the great sharks and stuff they have down there, like the flying sharks where they leap out of the water.
No, but I will tell you this. I got a chance to go to the Cape of Good Hope. I got a chance to see that. I got a chance to see Robbins Islands where Mr. Mandela was. So I got a chance to see that, met with a lot of dignitaries. So, and then again, if you've ever been to San Diego, Cape Town will remind you of San Diego Seaport Village.
No kidding.
Yes.
All right. Well, now, you're probably out there listening right now. You're probably wondering, well, we got a whole lot of military stuff going on here. How are we going to tie that back into business? So let's jump in just a little bit to your business history, because you've got a PhD. All right.
Yes.
Now, again, for those of you out there listening, I've got a really good buddy used to say, I've got a Louisiana PhD. And I laugh at it because he'd say that, we've got a public high school diploma, but yours is a little bit more different than that. We're going to hear more about it when we come back from break. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Stick right where you're at right now. You're listening to That Business Show, where business becomes show business.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
If you've been following That Business Show on Facebook and Twitter, you may have noticed the quality of some of our images. That's because one of our sponsors is pro photographer Rick Taseda, a member of the Professional Photographers of America. You can view his extensive work by going to his website at ricktaseda.com or call him for an appointment to chat about your photography needs at 813-641-4757. That's 813-641-4757. Rick Taseda Visuals. Call him for your next event or project. In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com.
I knew Mom wanted to stay at home. It's the center of her family, her life. But helping Mom stay in her home while managing mine was just too much. Honestly, it wasn't just about me. Mom didn't want me to be her caretaker. She wanted me to be her daughter. I felt so alone until I found out about Home Instead Senior Care. When we met the people at Home Instead, we just knew they were different. The experience was personal. And most importantly, for Mom and me, I get to be her daughter again.
Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
What's up, business rock stars? Are you ready to bring out the CEO in you? Join Julianne Nichols, CEO of Focus on You Strategy, every other Friday on That Business Show. She'll be talking with other chief entrepreneurial officers about how they grew their businesses. Remember, you could join the conversation at Focus on You Strategies Focus Fridays Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. That's facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. Be the CEO of you.
Have you ever tried to buy a home for your family only to find out that you don't qualify for a mortgage loan? You thought that after 20 years as a customer of your bank, they would help you when you needed it the most, right? Unfortunately, the banks of today are not the banks of our parents and grandparents, and our relationships with them just don't matter anymore. My name is Frank Cotto, and I'm the president of the Lincoln Lending Group. We all may need a bank, but we also need a Frank, and that's what I'm here to do for you today. Lincoln Lending Group will waive all of your lending fees, which include your mortgage, application fee, your underwriting fee, processing fees, and any bank points. Just call 813-MORTGAGE. You drop the E, and we'll drop the fee.
Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round. And number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information.
From the Bright House Networks Traffic Center.
Very heavy traffic on eastbound Hillsborough Avenue from before Memorial Highway and the Veterans Expressway. That's all because of a crash on Memorial Highway near Kelly Road. Also a crash in the Citrus Park and West Chase area at Linebaugh and Sheldon. This primarily affecting the eastbound lanes of Linebaugh and southbound Sheldon. Use Waters Avenue as your eastbound alternate. Veterans Expressway as your southbound alternate. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson Uterick. Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Lead Safe America. Does your child struggle to concentrate and pay attention? What looks like ADD or autism may actually be caused by lead poisoning. Lead is a neurotoxin. It can cause permanent brain damage. Find out how to protect your family. Go to leadsafeamerica.org.
Flood watch in effect for Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties through tomorrow. A 70% chance of showers today with a high 85, and tonight cloudy, low 78.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome back to That Business Show, where business becomes show business. Now, if you're used to listening to That Business Show, you're normally hearing Jamie Maloney's voice in the morning. But Jamie could not be here, and he asked me if I would sit in, and it is absolutely my pleasure. My name is Dr. Ron Eccles, and I'm here with an incredible guest this morning. His name is Dr. Eric Hollis. It's the morning of the doctors. So, Dr. Hollis, welcome back. When we left before break, we were talking or just diving into your history. We know that you are a PhD, and that stands for a real doctor. So go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what is your degree in, because we want to really kind of just jump in and segue into how we can tie that into the people listening, the entrepreneurs, the business people.
Great. I have a PhD in organization and management with a specialization in information technology management from Capella University.
Okay, my eyes just glazed over.
Yours just glazed
because
over.
That just my head just got like short circuited.
You and me both.
All right, so I'm going to boil it down to organization and leadership. So let me ask you a question. What is the name of your company? You have a company.
I have a company. It's Hollis Group, LLC, which is a leadership and management consulting organization.
And what do you guys do? Because now you got 30 years of history in the U.S. military, and there's probably nothing greater organized than the military. So learning organization is just like natural to you.
Well, it is, but and thank you for your compliments. But what we do is we go into organizations and we show them how to transform and improve and enhance their organization, either from top down or bottom up. Because research has shown that a vast majority of people leave organizations because of poor leadership and management.
Oh, amen to that. Big time.
I'm pretty sure some of the listeners out there work for organizations or know someone who have worked for organizations that left not because of the money, but because of the leadership. And that's a big problem.
Now, I've heard it said that there's a difference between managing and leader. Managing people is where you're telling them what to do, but when you lead people, they will do what they're supposed to do on their own. It's about inspiring people to become more. So let's talk about that for a minute, because that's really
exactly. From the leadership perspective, people want leaders that have the ability to transform them and enhance them. Leaders look at having a vision, a mission, and a strategy to get there. Managers manage that leadership, vision, and strategy. Leadership is about making people feel they are part of an organization larger than themselves. As a matter of fact, my dissertation, which was a qualitative phenomenological study of leadership styles, transformational, transactional, and situation leadership styles of Chief Information Officers, or CIOs, at military combatant commands, and most of the participants said the exact same thing. They want to be inspired, they want to be motivated, they want to be transformed. So of all the three leadership styles, transformational leadership style is that style that most people want their leaders to have.
Josh, I don't even know how he was able to remember all that.
Me neither. I mean, my head's spinning.
That dissertation, I'm sitting there going, okay, wait a minute now. Is that actually written somewhere? Because I'd have to have their soundbite and read that thing.
They say that if you want to get better in life, that you need to surround yourself with people smarter than yourself. But I think this is an overkill.
I think our brains are going to be strained this morning as a result of that. All right, well, Doc, listen, that's fantastic. But let's boil it down to where our audience can really relate to that, because I read a book a number of years ago. I read 2 books, and both written by the same guy, Simon Sinek. And one was the first one was called Start With Why. And he talks about the biology of what gets people to actually take action. And then he writes the second book, which is a great sequel to it, because it's called Leaders Eat Last, and it's exactly in your wheelhouse. Leaders Eat Last, the title comes from, and I hate to say this in front of a Navy guy, but it's out of the Marines. But it's the same concept, right? Because one of the things in the Marine life is that the senior officers wait until the junior officers in the mess hall eat first. They allow them to eat first, and the leaders eat last. And the whole philosophy is, if I got your back now, you'll get my back when we're in the battle. And I think that's what leadership's really about. If the leaders are inspiring people by really putting them where they should be, lifting them up and making them first, then these people will feel empowered and be able, and come to work every day excited about being part of something.
You are exactly right, because in today's global and digitally connected society, the younger generation, they have to feel inspired. They have to know that not that the leaders are going to change the world for them, but they want the leaders to at least listen to from their point of view, because as you know, with technology, you can say one thing and next thing you know is tweeted or on social media going across the world. So most people want leaders to actually lead and listen. Yeah. Because you would notice that in a lot of organizations, they will say that culture trumps strategy at any given time.
I agree with that 100%.
So you have to understand the culture of your organization, the leadership of your organization, because if you don't understand that, you're going to fail. Every organization is going to fail. A prime example, I did some research on the recent challenges with the VA system. Because I'm a vet, I take that very personally. It was never an issue with money, finance. It was an issue with leadership, a failure in leadership. The same thing happened with OPM, Office of Personal Management, a failure in leadership. That only happens because people at the top, people at the bottom are not meeting halfway to discuss issues. So leadership is very important. Like you said earlier, your subordinates and your peers want to be inspired.
You know, it's really funny. You bring up the whole issue of our veterans, and when we come back from our break, I want to make sure we really open that up a little bit, because it's a powder keg right now. I personally think, and you're a veteran, I am not a veteran, and I'm so proud of what you men and women have done to create our freedom. And I want to make sure that we honor veterans by talking a little bit more about this leadership or the lack of leadership that has led them to where they're at, and maybe get your perspective on how we can get that turned around. So I'm super excited. Now listen, you've been listening to That Business Show, where business becomes show business.
Jamie Maloney here, host of That Business Show, promoting the entrepreneurial spirit in Tampa Bay. We bring you success stories every weekday morning, and now we're doing more of it. Join us anytime between 7 and 9 tomorrow morning here on 1250 WINS WHNZ. We share Tampa Bay's success stories with you every weekday morning because we want you to become the next success. Catch the entrepreneurial spirit anytime between 7 and 9 tomorrow morning here on 1250 WINS WHNZ.
If there's one show you need to listen to, it's Savings and Cents, heard every Saturday from 2 to 3 on 1250 WHNZ. That's right, Tampa, Florida. We're coming to you from Central Kentucky to talk fee-only financial advising. Do you have a plan? Do you even know what you own? Tune in every Saturday from 2.
I feel guilty that I can't always be there when Mom feels stuck at home. She was always there for us. But now she can't get out, and I'm not always available to take her places. Someone else needs to help her get around. Then I learned about Home Instead. Now Mom can do what she enjoys because her personal caregiver is there, and I can just be a daughter again.
Are you struggling to care for your loved one? We can help. Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Start to see some sunshine back on Wednesday. Rain chance still high, around 60%. Impact Radio, 1250 wins, WHNZ.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 wins, WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
Welcome to That Business Show, where business becomes show business. My name is Dr. Ron Eccles, sitting in for Jamie Maloney this morning. I want to welcome you. If you're just joining us right now, we have a very special guest in the studio today. His name is Dr. Eric Hollis. He's with the Hollis Group, LLC, Leadership and Management Consulting. Now, if you were here before, boy, that title is really big, and he is an incredibly dynamic man. 30 years as a U.S. Navy veteran. And before break, we were actually launching into the whole issue of the failure of leadership and how it's impacted our American veterans. And that really brings up, and it should bring up the ire in every single American right now, because our veterans deserve, in my opinion, the very best treatment and health care of anyone in the United States. As a matter of fact, I think what Congress should do is swap health care policies with the veterans. And they should take what the veterans have been getting and see how they like it, and then give the veterans what they've been receiving.
Agreed.
So what do you say?
Well, what I'll say is this. I served 30 years, and I know during my active duty time, the medical facilities, when I was worldwide, when I'm on the ship, were excellent. When I retired, I did see a change in, let's just say, a paradigm shift in the level of care. However, I've seen where they made some drastic changes in the VA as far as from the leadership down. But talking to other veterans, they're telling me that sometimes it's the wait time, sometimes it's whether they're getting their disability rating, whether they're getting their medication on time. And it seems to be the issue, just based on my my analysis, is not at the lower levels at the veteran hospital per se, but at leadership putting things into action, making things happen for the veterans. I think now there has been a change of leadership, so hopefully we'll see that from the top down. But as of today, there are still many issues with how my fellow veterans are being treated at some of these facilities.
Is care that much better for active members of the military than people who are out of the military? And why is that? I mean,
I think, in my opinion, it's because the active duty members have to be ready to go to war if that happens. So when they go to a facility, they're taken care of immediately because of the fact if they're needed, they're in uniform. And that's just how it works. I don't have a problem with that happening. But, you know, my concern is once they retire, the veterans who served 2, 3, 4, 5, or 30 years like myself should have that same level of care that they had when they were in the military.
Yeah, the gap shouldn't be as wide.
Right.
And I think that's what we're seeing in the United States. The gap is so wide.
It also seems like that recently it's worse because when my grandfather in the early 90s, he ended up with lung cancer. He got treated very well. I mean, the best of care, and it was all paid for by the military. What has changed between now and then?
You know, honestly, this is just my opinion as Dr. Eric Hollis and a veteran is this. A lot of the senior leaders in the government as a whole become very comfortable in their position, and they lose that what I say is intellectual curiosity to want to do things better. Not all of them, but the vast majority of them lose that. Once they get to the senior positions, they don't have that drive and that tenacity they had to take care of the veterans like they used to. Now, I can say this. Here in Tampa, the Veterans Center on Haley, which is on Fowler, is I was told it is excellent. But throughout the United States, there are some issues with some of the veteran care. You can see that by some of your the news channels stating that. And I think it's going to improve over time. But I think that it has been, it should continue to be the politicians, whether it's local or whether it's national, speaking about the veterans and the veterans care.
Yeah, we need to get that from talk into action. We need to get our veterans taken
exactly.
care of. All right, so let's get back into the subject of leadership, because that seems to be where you shine the most. You're dealing with a company. What are the kind of companies that will hire you, and for what reason will they hire you?
Well, I'm looking for companies, medium to large companies, to have someone to come in that can show them how to improve their leadership from the global perspective. I think I take my 30 years in the military and the fact that I've seen things from the global perspective, and I have read or researched almost every leadership study pertaining to transformational, transactional, and situational leadership since 1941. So I think I have a plethora of knowledge, a plethora of experience, and Hollis Group LLC can show organizations how to improve and enhance that, because every organization wants to increase profit and decrease cost. But how do you do that? Thing in the middle is people. You have to have your people. You have to take care of your people. And people will not perform if they have poor leadership and management.
Well, one of the things I got this saying from one of my very good buddies. We're bringing his company from Canada into the U.S. We launch in November here in Tampa Bay. It's called Make Your Mark. And one of the things Colin is always saying is that if you focus on dollars, you'll have money to spend. If you focus on people, you'll have countless dollars. And I love that saying because it really puts the priority. Back when I was growing up, and maybe perhaps you, when we went to school, we were expected to go out and work into a company, even though I was an entrepreneur from the very beginning. But the average person my age was expected to go and become part of a company. You just do what you're told, and it's top-down kind of thinking. You weren't there to be inspired, or you were there to do a job as you were told to do the job. And now we shift, for me, 33 years later, into a world where we must treat our employees from a completely different perspective. People do not stay with companies for 3-4 decades. They're now averaging most 5 to 7 years. And I think it has a lot to do with the way leadership has let down people and the average employee. And the younger people are not motivated by what older generations were motivated by. So let's take that for just a minute. Now, what does a company need to do to change their leadership, to position themselves to be able to handle the younger workforce and the way that they want to be treated and get committed? In other words, you talked about culture before, so let's kind of wrap that all around together.
You know, this is what I think the companies need to understand. As they say, know your audience or know your employees. The younger generation, they're not as focused on being loyal to companies as my generation or generation above mine. But I can tell you nowadays, if companies are not on social media, if they're not communicating with the younger generation on social media and understand the exact needs and wants of the younger generation, they're going to fail, because the younger kids, for the most part, they're smarter as far as technology. Those technology runs everything. If you have a business or an organization and you're not on social media, you do not have a social media presence, you're going to fail, or you're not going to do very well.
Here's the scary part. As a business person, I'm 57 years old, and the guys who are actually my mentors in many years, including the social media and technology, are my kids' ages. That's scary. You get to that age where you're hiring people that are your kids' age to actually direct you and train you.
Exactly, and that's the challenge now. So they have to capture the imagination of the younger generation, and they have to give them certain leverage to do their jobs. They want leadership, but they're not used to the leadership that's constantly over their back. They want some creativity, but also they want to know if there is a problem from the technical perspective, or they need something from HR. They want to make sure that leadership is doing that for them. Leadership needs to listen. Don't act on everything that they want, the younger generation, but at least listen to them, because these kids are on with the intellect, technology-wise. They can change companies in a heartbeat. So what must you do to keep that person at that organization?
And it's not just that. I mean, if you think about the psychology, if a person's out there and you're listening right now, maybe you're my generation, right? And you're hearing Dr. Hollis speak, and you might say to yourself, well, wait a minute, I'm the person who makes the rules, I own the company, et cetera. But here's the reality. It costs you so much more money if you have to hire and retrain new people. The economics are completely against you. It makes so much more sense to create a culture and to create a leadership style that will impact and keep these young people or people of all different generations committed to a greater cause, feel like they're part of something, so that when they come to work every day inspired. I think that's the whole thing. Is we need to create inspired businesses.
Exactly.
I know, Make You Mark, what we're all about is teaching entrepreneurs, no matter who they are, to create inspired businesses, because inspired businesses, I think, change the world.
You know, when I was in my military days, I was stationed at MacDill, and I worked for an agency. And I will say that I read a book once. A book was called Managing and Leading Geeks, which meant it taught you that their mindset. I was in charge of the network team, IT network team, and it tells you their mindset, the way they see things is totally different. And you have to understand that. It doesn't mean that the guys are not going to perform or they're going to rebel against authority. It just means they see things from a different perspective. And you need to make sure that you understand that. Because in today's society, I'll assure you, the network guys here or any organization, they're the go-to guys if you want to be on the air or you want to communicate, whatever it have to be. But their mindset is totally different. So being able to lead those guys and manage those guys is a challenge all in itself.
Neat. I remember the days when Revenge of the Nerds came out, the movie, and if you were called a nerd or a geek, it was an insult. Today, it's like a badge of honor, which I think is really cool. It's that paradigm shift, the way the society now sees the technology and how important it is and how it impacts our lives.
I think Joe Rogan said it best. He's like, man, if all the smart people died on the planet, we'd be pretty much screwed, because can you make a light bulb? I sure can't.
No, I can barely screw one in.
I think he described that situation accurately.
Yeah, I wish I knew who Seth Rogen is. I don't know who Joe Rogan is.
Joe Rogan is his evil older brother. No, I'm just kidding. He's a comedian and he does the commentating for the UFC.
There you go. I had to get. See, you're using all these big words over here, Dr. Alls, and Josh is over here giving me people I have no clue, and it's like, okay, where do I go with this one? All right, so we're going to go to a break in just a moment here. You've been listening to That Business Show, where business becomes show business. Our special guest today, Dr. Eric Hollis, will be back in just a few moments, and we want to tell you to stick right where you're at. We'll be back in a moment.
Savvy business owners utilize technology to connect with customers, communicate among teams, and collaborate with partners. Even with advances in technology, you all know it's not infallible. Where do you turn when your technology starts working against you? Who do you depend on to keep your team productive? Don't wait until your technology fails you. Get ahead of the crisis and contact the professionals at Alpha Computing Solutions so they can show you how to keep your technology running smoothly. Visit them online at www.alphacomputing.com.
Did you know the biggest challenge business leaders face today is creating an engaged and productive workforce culture? Bill Meyer Ham Consulting wants to help you solve this challenge. They will help you transform your workforce culture to produce amazing business results. Call Bill Meyer Ham Consulting at 941-201-4650 today or visit BillMeyerHam.com. That's BillMeyerHam.com. Have a conversation.
In an age when the good and the better vie for attention, it is the best that stands out. The best of Tampa Bay from Proudly Florida is the love story for the city of Tampa, celebrating success, sharing achievements, a tribute to enterprise and community spirit. Let Proudly Florida showcase your business to your city, your nation, and the world. For more information, email info@proudlyflorida.com and be sure to visit proudlyflorida.com. Teresa Turner is a certified public accountant and the founder of Tax Happens, a boutique-style CPA firm providing small businesses and individuals with hands-on, personalized tax and accounting services. Although we would love to tell you how happy their clients are, we would like you to see for yourself. Tax Happens has 21 Google reviews and a 4.8-star Google rating, 17 Yelp reviews and a 5-star Yelp rating, 38 Facebook reviews and a 4.9-star Facebook rating. What sets Tax Happens apart is number 1, upfront pricing, 2, clear deadlines, 3, personally available year-round, and number 4, a willingness to empower clients to do as much or as little as they desire. Visit taxhappens.com for more information.
What's up, business rock stars? Are you ready to bring out the CEO in you? Join Julianne Nichols, CEO of Focus on You Strategy, every other Friday on That Business Show. She'll be talking with other chief entrepreneurial officers about how they grew their businesses. Remember, you could join the conversation at Focus on You Strategies Focus Fridays Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. That's facebook.com/groups/Focus Fridays. Be the CEO of you.
I knew Mom wanted to stay at home. It's the center of her family, her life. But helping Mom stay in her home while managing mine was just too much. Honestly, it wasn't just about me. Mom didn't want me to be her caretaker. She wanted me to be her daughter. I felt so alone until I found out about Home Instead Senior Care. When we met the people at Home Instead, we just knew they were different. The experience was personal. And most importantly, for Mom and me, I get to be her daughter again.
Home Instead Senior Care. To us, it's personal.
How many times have you said to yourself, I wish there was an app for that? Stop wishing and start making the world better. Turn your brilliant idea into a profitable business by using Popcorn apps. Their affordable app design will help get your blue sky idea or proven business to the next level at a fraction of the cost of other developers. They will help you get through all the steps needed to make your thoughts become live. See them at popcornapps.com with a K in popcorn, or call them at 727-415-6705 for your free consultation and pop your kernel of an idea into $1 million business and a world changer starting today.
From the RP Funding Traffic Network.
Crash on Memorial Highway near Kelly Road has all lanes blocked there. Use Hillsborough Avenue. Of course, it is very heavy in the eastbound direction from just past Countryway through Memorial Highway and to the Veterans Expressway. Of course, we're also seeing delays on eastbound Hillsborough Avenue because Linebaugh is closed at Sheldon. That's all due to a crash there. Westbound Linebaugh, also a crash at Wilski. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson Udork Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
This report is brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique, but you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Flood watch in effect for Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties through tomorrow. A 70% chance of showers today with a high 85, and tonight cloudy, low 78.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Maloney on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Missed a show? Then head over to TampaBayRadio.com, where all shows are available on demand. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Maloney.
All right. Well, as you can guess right now, you are in That Business Show, and we have an incredible guest with us today, Dr. Eric Hollis. I am not Jamie Maloney. If you might have guessed by now, the voice is a little bit different. My name is Dr. Ron Eccles, and we've been talking about leadership and culture. Let's get into culture here for a minute, because we were talking about companies, right? And if a company is going to thrive, not just survive today, but thrive, they're going to have to shift the way they do business. The way they used to do business 20, 30 years ago is no longer valid, because we have a workforce that's coming up that responds differently. They think differently, and we must implement what I believe to be the right kind of principles that should have always been there, but we're getting back to them now. We see companies like Google and Microsoft and some of these Facebook. They run companies completely different because they're inspired companies. They're companies that are creating young people where they feel like they're contributing. They show up to work. Many places don't even have time clocks. Mm-hmm. And they're showing that if they don't have time clocks, many of these workers actually work way more than the hours that's allotted to them that they're being paid for. So let's talk about culture, and where do you see the companies you're advising to shift their cultural emphasis at?
Well, from the cultural perspective, in essence, all of these big companies, they have to have, in today's society, cultural diversity. Once they have cultural diversity, understand things from the cultural perspective, the company, the organization, and the community benefits. What I can tell you mentioned culture. If I were to ask any of you or the audience to think of a company that a few years ago was mediocre at best, but I'll assure you, when I say the name of the company, you will look at the culture, and you all are going to agree that it changed the landscape as far as the food industry, and that's Chick-fil-A.
One of my I was going to say, I owned restaurants for over 10 years, right? And I prided myself in the way I took care of my customers, the way I would go around to the tables and check on everybody. And then when I sold my restaurants, every once in a while I'd stop at a Chick-fil-A, which I happen to believe that they're the best fast food restaurant on the planet. The
And just
manager,
food alone.
The manager's walking around asking the same thing as an entrepreneur who owned
Exactly.
one store did. And I'm like, these people get it.
Now, I won't say any names, but look at some other industries that sell chicken and look at their customer interaction. It's all about the culture of the organization, from the top down or from the bottom up. When it comes to culture, the whole organization has to buy into that culture. That's why, if you were to juxtapose Google and Apple, it's a big difference. They said when Steve Jobs had the company, it was very stressed out. It was very rigid. Google at the same time, very creative. You had a very creative edge to Google. You go there, you didn't take breaks. They had a break room. They enjoyed themselves, and they were very creative. Steve Jobs was like, hey, I want the iPhone. I want it done now. Boom, 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 boom. That's why you see that cultural shift now. The majority of organizations are using the same blueprint that Google had to understand the culture of the individuals. A lot of them come in wearing flip-flops. Whatever your company is, the culture, you have to adhere to that.
Now, it's really funny because the company that one of my buddies about a year and a half ago, I went up to visit him to see what he was doing in Canada because I was looking to get some ideas on launching a business consulting company, a bigger one down here in the U.S. And what he was doing in Canada was so profound, and it was based upon how he created a culture inside of a company because his company theme is a business with soul. They believe in the sanctity of their clients and the sanctity of the team that works around them, and everything is built towards that. And I loved it so much that we decided instead of trying to reinvent the wheel down here in the U.S., we're actually bringing Make Your Mark this November to the U.S. And Tampa Bay will be the epicenter of the U.S. and we'll have eventually 8 cities throughout the U.S. So it's all about culture. That's what attracted me to the entire company. Was like, these people know how to treat other people, and I like that.
As I said earlier, as they say, studies have been done that said culture trumps strategy anytime.
I love that. I got to write that one down. Before you leave here, make sure I write that one down.
And what I tell people from the military perspective, I say in any organization, you have to be able to navigate through the political minefield. In any organization, whether culturally, from the cultural perspective, because when you walk into a company, any company, you have to know that. That's why you may have heard, well, you're not the right fit for the company. You're not this, you're not that, because it's all about culture. It's all about fitting in, because when people fit in, they perform better, and they're led better, and you get better results.
Yeah, but how far can a laid back culture get before it starts to hurt your company? If I'm a client and I'm walking in and people are in their flip flops and shorts and they're kind of laid back and hanging out, I'm wondering if they're going to get the job done.
Well, it depends if you're at Google or you're at a lawyer's office. If you're at Google, they expect for the culture to be relaxed. If you're at another organization, if you were to go to a bank or institution and you're like, well, you got on flip flops, why are you dressed like this? But again, like I said earlier, look at Chick-fil-A. Today, when you guys go to lunch, I'm sure some of you will, you hit Chick-fil-A. Look at the culture of the
probably going to
organization.
hit Chick-fil-A on the way home now, as a matter of fact. I mean,
I think they'll be sending out everyone right now is pointing their cars over. They go, where's the next Chick-fil-A I can get?
I'm going to nickname him Cobb Theaters with the little subliminal soda sales.
It's all about the culture. If you look at it from the business perspective, businesses now are global. And everything is instantaneous. I mean, now people are they're doing the instant messaging. They're doing the Twitter. They're live on television now. Nothing's, as they say. One economist said the world is flat, and that's because the world is flat. Understands when you're dealing with people in different cultures, different organizations, different parts of the world. Even though it's your company, if you have a global presence, you have to understand the culture of that organization and that country, and also. So it's a big deal about understanding culture, because you understand the culture, you got to know what it means. A prime example, I was stationed in Bahrain in the military. And stationed in Bahrain, well, on a Saturday, the week started on a Sunday. That's when our week started in Bahrain. The culture in Bahrain is different from here. So you had to understand that. Now, what it meant for Americans, that a lot of things wasn't done in the States. It's an off day on a Sunday. But in Bahrain, the week starts. So you all have to understand the culture of the organization, and within that culture, what can you do as a leader or a manager to get the best out of your employees? Whether it's sending messages. Whether it's, as I say, you need to talk to your employees, not at your employees.
Okay, we're coming down here to pretty much the last moments of the show, and so Doc, what I want you to do is I want you to just give advice. What would be the one biggest takeaway that everybody listening right now could walk back to their office or drive back to their office and implement right away when it comes to leadership?
I would say, from the leadership perspective, talk to your people. If you can't talk to your people, send messages out. Make sure you involve. Make sure you include your subordinates in the leadership process, in the decision-making process, or at least allow them to have an input into that organization. Because again, in this new dynamic age, the millennials or the younger generation, they're the ones with all the technical knowledge. So make sure you understand their culture and they understand the culture of the organization.
Yeah, they want to be heard, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, in keeping tradition that I've been doing for the last few weeks, I like to find a celebrity that looks like our guest. And today I have Forrest Whitaker. Looks just like the good doctor sitting next to me right
And I'm
here.
sitting there going, I thought he's talking about me.
I've heard that. I've heard Ving Rhames. I've heard.
No, not Ving Rhames, man. He's way too mean, dude. You're way too nice of a guy.
I love Ving Rhames.
Yeah, but Forrest Whitaker is twice the talent. So.
Cool. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the wrap on the show today. Thank Dr. Eric Hollis. You've been listening to That Business Show, where business becomes show business.